Yeah, baby, we're back.
We are back, and this is
what a special treat.
This is so exciting. You know what? We haven't had a player on for a little bit.
That's false because I'm here every week, baby. I'm gonna play.
That's right.
He can hear us right now, and he's like, "I thought these guys were comedians."
We've been.
What's this bullshit?
I feel like every time we've we've traveled and we've met a couple players and here and there, but like just have someone like just right on the podcast, like the old days. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have a player call in. You know, they're driving to practice. This is what we do, right? This is when we get them in trouble because they say I answer their questions too honestly.
So, welcome everyone to the show. The captain of the Sporting Kansas City,
right?
Just a soccer. I want to say an American soccer legend. I think he's climbing those ranks to get there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this guy's got a lot of caps.
That's
you
right.
Know what I mean?
A lot of caps. Please, everyone, welcome.
Unless you're driving, put your hands together for the one, the only Matt Besler.
Hey, Matty.
How you guys doing? I am driving. I'm driving home from practice right now, so I will not be clapping for myself.
Yeah, please don't clap for yourself. Very dangerous unless you're at a red light.
This is not the way you want to go. Not on this podcast.
Please don't let it be our fault.
I can honk the horn if you guys want me to. But
yeah, give us a good one.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, I did it.
I was hoping Matt Besler had like a
pickup truck.
A pickup truck horn.
Just like
I do. I'm driving a pickup truck.
Are you really?
Apparently the horn is
a little
horn's
weak.
not that loud.
Yeah, a little weak. We got to trade that bad boy in. Get yourself a new horn.
Yeah, I need a semi truck. That's what I need.
Yeah, one of those horns you pull the strap down from the top. What's it like playing for a team that is especially in a home stadium? Like the Blue Cauldron, as they call themselves. What's the waiting list for these season tickets? 40, 50 years? It's ridiculous. What's it feel like playing something like that? Being someone who grew up as an American soccer player, that's new. I mean, I know everyone talks about Atlanta, then they used to talk about Seattle. Kansas City is one of those that they scrapped it and completely redid it, and it's working really well. What's that feel like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see the loyalty that we have here in Kansas City, and I think that I have a unique perspective in that, I started out playing, I was a rookie 10 years ago, and the league was different 10 years ago. And so I've kind of see it grow and I've seen the changes. And one of the big things that I always tell people is in the early days, for one, you didn't get recognized as much when you're out and about in the city. But if you did get recognized, it was more of a, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, you play for Kansas City, right? You play for Sporting. And it's like, oh, yeah, I do. And, oh, yeah, so great to meet you. Like, all right, we'll see you later. And now it's totally transformed into, for one, you get recognized, way more often than before. But it's the fans are just so much more knowledgeable about everything. And so it's not like, oh, hey, are you Matt Besler? Don't you play for Sporting? It's like, hey, Matt, great game on Saturday night, and we were there, and that play you made in the 57th minute to save the goal, like, oh, that was unbelievable. Good luck next week against San Jose. And I mean, they're just like so much more tuned in and the details, and so that's probably been the biggest change. But it's been awesome to experience firsthand for sure.
And I imagine that is a factor in, because I've read a lot that you were getting interest and a lot of offers from European clubs and just out of MLS. You've seemingly have made the decision to start and end your career in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, you just signed a 5-year contract, right? You want to be there for the long term, apparently.
And I imagine how great Kansas City has been helpful playing, near where you grew up and all those things. But what has been what was the, like, I guess the main factor in that decision? Because I know for a lot of players, and we talk about it a lot, where especially men's national team players, where some people are critical of, like, hey, we want our men's national team players to go abroad and play in Europe. And what was the factor in making that decision to stay?
Well, it's different for everybody, and it's just every player is different, and every player is in a different situation, and so it's impossible for people to like categorize, people and put them in the same group and say, oh, well, if you're a national team player, then you have to go and play in Europe. And you have to look at it on an individual basis. And I think age plays a very big factor, where you're at in your career. I think if you're at the beginning of your career, it would make sense more to go over to Europe because you have more room for error. Like Europe it's hard to make it in Europe. We all know that. There's a lot of different factors for that. But when you're young and you have years to kill, and years to develop, then, and it makes more sense. Where if you're in the prime of your career, or if you're in the later stages of your career, then you have to be more calculated in making those decisions, because you can't afford to go over there and not play for a year. You can't afford to go over there and the coach gets fired, and then the new coach comes in, and now you're not playing, and now you have to go on loan, and now you're not getting regular games, and it just depends on where you're at in your career. And so for me specifically, I was at a stage in my career where I felt like I was right in the middle of my career. We had just kind of embarked on this huge project with Sporting Kansas City. We had just rebranded. We were selling out our stadium. We were building on the field, off the field, and I wasn't ready to give that up yet. I feel like I was just now starting that project, and I played a part in that project, and I wasn't finished in building that. And so I'm very prideful to be playing in Kansas City, to be a part of the project, and I wasn't ready to give that up. And to be frank with you guys too, there wasn't the right option anywhere else. I explored certain opportunities, but at the end of the day, none of them really made sense. And Kansas City for me was the right place to continue.
All right. See, I thought you were just going to say it was because of the barbecue. You know what I mean? That's good enough reason. They ain't got good barbecue in Turkey. Well, you know what I mean?
I said there was a lot of factors in the decision. That might have been one.
That is true.
You would think there would be good barbecue in Turkey because it's named Turkey. Anyway.
Right, come on. You know what? We're supposed to be comedians here.
The bar is very low for us, I think.
All right. So you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot in Kansas City. I mean, you're probably going to get a statue there at some point. I mean, you really are. You're stalwart. We had one of the questions from the fans. They wanted to know, how does it feel winning a U.S. Open Cup, and do you think it compares to winning an MLS Cup?
Well, to answer the first one, yeah, it feels amazing. That's why we play as players, to win. And to compare it to an MLS Cup, it's different for sure, but they're both. I don't want to say equally, because they were different, but they were right. They were on par with each other. I think anybody that says, "Oh, well, Open Cup, it doesn't really mean as much," and I don't view it as that at all. I think that's crazy.
The 100-year competition doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. So for you, a trophy is a trophy is a trophy.
A trophy is a trophy. I just think it's very American to say, oh, well, the cup doesn't matter, and really it's about the playoffs. And well, yeah, like the playoffs are important too, but I mean, why would we play this competition if it didn't mean anything? Like, if you're in the competition, why wouldn't you play to win?
Yeah, well,
that's the goal, right?
It's like, say that to there was a meme after you guys won the Open Cup against the Red Bulls, where was it Sasha Kljestan crying? It became like the popular meme. So
it replaced the Jordan crying meme for a little bit. And we were doing that. That's how I know that.
Well, okay. So here's the other thing too. So, one of our main goals is always to get into Champions League. That's a huge accomplishment all over the world. Like, how do you get into Champions League? And for us, one of the ways you get into Champions League is winning the Open Cup. Another way is to win MLS Cup. And so when you think about it like that, like, well, yeah, they are equal. I mean, both of them get you into Champions League. That's what you're trying to do.
There you go.
And on a more somber note, let's talk about the World Cup that just passed, because the U.S. men's national team did not get the opportunity to go, and you were one of the players in playing in that last game in the qualifiers. I know it's generally like for the last like couple months. I think after this World Cup, we've sort of been on a reconstructive sort of place where we're like, all right, well, how do we not let that happen again? But you know, we haven't spoken to anyone specifically who was there and how that felt. I know it's obviously negative, but
Bruce Arena won't return our phone calls.
Yeah, I wonder why. But in general, how do you feel? How did you feel then, and how do you feel now?
I felt terrible. I felt embarrassed and ashamed, and like I let a lot of people down. I feel like I let the entire country down. So it was a difficult moment for sure. I think it's always going to stick with me. I don't think I'll ever 100% get over it. I also think that, everything that needed to be said has already been said. There's only so many ways that you can describe, what happened, embarrassing and, difficult, and, you feel terrible, and all that's true. And at some point that's never really going to change. And so what I think has happened over the last couple months is that people are finally, I don't want to say forgiving, because I don't think we'll ever be forgiven for not qualifying. But they're starting to move on, and that has been, that has been a positive step, I think, for everybody. I think it's very important. We can't go back and change what happened, and so now it's all about, answering the question, well, what are we going to do about it? And I truly believe that there's going to be a lot of good that comes out of this, for sure.
Yeah, I think people are forgiving. Maybe people are not forgiving the team, but they're forgiving players individually, like one at a time.
Yeah. We're going down the 18, and eventually we'll get down to everybody.
I mean, look, we have seen how Michael Bradley's being treated at almost every stadium he goes
Josie
to.
too.
Josie they're getting booed, and
when you play against TFC, do you also boo? You're like, yeah, guys, boo them, not me. Remember them?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, no comment. You should have at least gotten an all-expense paid trip. The whole team should have got one to Panama at the very least, right? Those guys made it into the World Cup.
Well, so the thing is, and so, I mean, all the focus is on the Trinidad game, right?
Yeah.
And look, I understand it. That's part of it. Like, there's no excuse that, we should be able to go down to Trinidad, no matter the circumstance, no matter the conditions, and get a result, like we should be able to do that. And we didn't. And we should pay the consequences for that. But, all this focus on just this game. And I think you have to take a step back. And I mean, it was that game that was the final game where we didn't qualify. But at the end of the day, we didn't it was a 10-game qualification process, right?
Yeah.
And so there were many missed opportunities. It wasn't just that Trinidad game. Like, in soccer, you guys should know this. Like, anything can happen, right? When it's one game, it's soccer. Like, sometimes it's such an unfair game, and I think we should have never been in that situation where you needed to go down to a country like Trinidad and for one final game and have to get a result. I think that was the issue, because anything can happen. I think it was, really the missed opportunities earlier on in the process that really came back to bite us.
Yeah, I mean, there's more than that for sure. And I think that's something that a lot of the fans look at and go, because of what you said, we could go down there and get a result. Typically, you would expect that. So to have that happen, that becomes sort of the scapegoat moment for a lot of other ills, for sure. But
for sure.
But moving on, like we talked a little bit about, you signed a 5-year contract. Congratulations, by the way. And, you're definitely going to be in Kansas City for the long haul. What do you see yourself doing after? What do you see yourself as helping develop the potential next center backs for the men's national team coming out of Kansas City? Do you want to be a part of the game in that way, or do you think of yourself as someone who's going to take a step back?
That's a great question. And I I don't know. I don't want to answer that because I'm still fully committed to being a professional soccer player, and I really believe that I have a lot of good years left in me, and so I don't know. I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice if I spent like a lot of time actually thinking about and brainstorming, like, oh, I'd like to do this, and I've been heavily inspired by Tom Brady and what he's been doing with his age. And so
and his Uggs.
Yeah.
And his Uggs.
Very comfortable shoes. That's what you're inspired by? Imagine you're the first soccer player to get Uggs with studs.
If yeah, I mean, I think any guy that's entering, as a veteran, like, you should look at Tom Brady and be like, I want to be the Tom Brady of soccer. Like, why can't I play until I'm 40? And marry a supermodel and wear Uggs.
Yeah. I mean, those are all very achievable things, apparently.
Very aspirational. Yeah. That's just totally fair. There's a couple questions I had about a few things. So there, what was this? Early this year, your teammate Graham Zusi, he did
the unthinkable.
He cut his very gorgeous long hair, and I know on the internet that he became like this new hipster meme. It was hipster Graham Zusi. What was the reaction when he cut his hair in the locker room?
I don't think anybody was shocked.
Really?
Close to him, knew that he wanted to, or he had been wanting to cut it for a while. But when we first saw him, I mean, we were shocked to see him. I don't think we were shocked by his decision. We were just shocked. Like, it almost looked like we had a new teamate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were like, so that who are you? Get out of here.
Yeah,
it's Graham's locker.
You put him through like a rookie hazing process.
Like, are you the new off-season signing? Are you DP?
Yeah.
You're DP.
I hate these South Americans coming here taking all the designated player spots.
He should have walked in with like mate, just like a new player.
Hey, I think he looks great though.
He does. I mean, there's nothing he could do.
I don't know if I'm one to judge, but I think he looks good.
That's the thing with a lot of times when guys like shave their beards and cut their hair and sort of go with that new look, and then people are like, hey, you look good. Then sometimes like, well, what did I look like before?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Was I hideous?
He looked good both ways. He's the guy. He can pull off anything.
Okay.
So, I mean, look, Graham apparently, is doing his keeping himself fresh looking and young in his time off. You, on the other hand, you and one of your teammates have started somewhat of sort of like an athletic clothing brand. Is that right?
That is correct. It's called States.
That's right. So you and Seth Sinovic,
correct.
Who you? I guess you guys grew up playing soccer together, right?
We did. Yeah, me and Seth, we were both originally from Kansas City. We both started playing on the same club soccer team when we were in second grade, and we continued playing with that same team all the way through our senior year of high school, which I think is very rare because nowadays, like, people just jump around and play with a bunch of different teams. So we played together from second grade to our senior year in high school. And then we both went away for college. I played at Notre Dame. Seth played at Creighton. And then we were rejoined back in Kansas City, and we've played the last 9 seasons together. So I'll let you guys do the math on how many years of playing together that is. But we have a very long history on the field together.
I just did the math, and it's a lot. So there you go.
A lot. Good answer.
There you go.
And what's the chemistry like on the field? Do you ever get to a point where like Seth, we've played together so long, you know where I'm going to be. You know where to put the ball. Why are you making mistakes?
Or you're like, bro, you've been doing this since you were 9. When are you going to learn? Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a mixture of both of those sentiments. But we played different positions when we were younger. Seth was actually our striker. He was the fastest kid on the field. And so he would just stand up at the half field line and wait for us to play the ball over the top, and he'd just run it down and score goals, and that was his deal. So we've gradually moved farther and farther back on the field, and now we're finally playing defenders together.
Yeah, now you can finally hold hands on the field.
What you've tried to do since you were children.
So I'm curious. So it seems like you and Seth clearly have a good friendship, and now he's clearly roping you into his business ventures with States. But no, why did this even happen? Why did you guys create States?
So it was a long process, but the easiest way to describe what really happened was me and Seth, along with two other of our childhood friends, Ryan Van Gothen and Daniel Curley, we were basically just sitting around in our basement, and we were probably drinking some beer too. And we all just said, like, hey, we need to start a soccer company. We need to do it. It's something that we're all connected to the game, and, we've always talked about doing it. Like, what can we possibly do and what can we create? And so we started like brainstorming, just hanging out together in the basement, and we had all these different ideas, and we talked about them. And at the end of the day, through, the connections that we had and some of the people that we talked with, a lifestyle athletic clothing brand was our best option. And so that's when the process started, and it took about a year and a half, and we've finally been able to officially launch a couple weeks ago. And so, it's very exciting, and we'll see where it goes. I think that we've had a lot of good feedback early on, and I'm excited about it.
And right now, like I'm just looking at some of the clothing. It is it's very plain. It's very like low key. You're not really trying to like put like a big ass logo all over your chest. And
it
stuff
just
like
says States across the arm, which is kind of dope. And it does seem like there's a lot of grays and blues and blacks, which is cool. It feels like you're going out to grab a bite, but then if somebody kicks a ball at you, you could also play the game.
Well, that was the whole concept. The design was, and I'll say this too, is this is our first line, and so we wanted to start out with something simple and basic, and so that's why you're seeing a lot of the grays and the blacks. We do have a lot of cool ideas to start introducing some color, which we will do in the near future, but. The concept was, at least for us right now, you're a soccer player, or if you're an ex-soccer player, or if you're just a fan, how do you show that, And we just felt like there's only so many opportunities in your everyday life to kind of show off that, hey, soccer's a part of my life, or I play soccer. Or, I'm a fan. And, it was once a week on Wednesday nights when you get to go and play in the men's league. That's when you get to be a soccer player. Or, Saturday morning when you watch the Premier League and you get to wear your Arsenal jersey. There's limited opportunities for people in America. We feel for them to express their love for the game. And so, we're trying to create something that you can wear every single day in your life, anytime, anywhere. You can go to the grocery store, or you can go to the movies, or you can go on a date, or, you can just chill at home and on your couch. And, is there something to wear that kind of says and makes you feel like, yeah, I'm a soccer player, or I love this game, or I used to play, or all these different things, these emotions that you get, because I think we all have love for the game, and we all kind of experience it in a different way, but we want to be able to share, that love and that emotion of the game. And so, we're trying to create something that you can actually wear and that you can show and that you can live every single day.
That'd be so cool to just be on a date and be like, hey, a soccer game broke out, baby.
All right. Well, you just wait till the food gets you. I'll be right back. And
that's right.
Tell me what happens at the beginning of this movie, and I'll just be right back.
Well, you know what? I think the cool thing about the soccer players is we can kind of like go back and forth. Like you can wear like your training soccer top to dinner. And then, like you guys said, if a game pops up, like you can just hop over and start playing. Like I don't think like any other sport you can really do that. But like soccer players, I don't know, have that ability to kind of cross over and, from like off the field on the field.
Yeah, I can't imagine a hockey player's bringing that big ass bag of theirs and sticks
Exactly.
on a
Exactly.
day. What's up? Oh, sorry, this is going to take up 2 seats, but I need to put this down in case somebody, tackles me or checks me against the boards.
That's awesome. Well, I'm actually just curious. Why did you guys choose the name States?
That's a great question. We kept coming back to the name. We wanted something simple, and we wanted something that represented American soccer. Because like I said earlier on, I think in other parts of the world, they already have this established culture, and it's already part of, everyday life. Like those situations that I talked about going to the grocery store or the movies, or, there's people that represent soccer while doing that in other parts of the world. And I think here in America, we're still so young as a game, and so we're still really searching for who we are, and so we're trying to give that voice to American soccer. And the other thing that's pretty cool too is that a lot of times we are viewed from people outside of America as the States, especially in soccer. Like when somebody refers to the U.S. or America, it's like, oh yeah, back in the States, or those guys are from the States, and that aspect was really cool. That's kind of what stuck out. But yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, we just kept coming back to it, and we really liked it.
That's awesome, because this podcast that we started, we've sort of been these very strong like American soccer stands, right? So I like that mentality, because there isn't from the comedy perspective. We've been doing comedy a long time, and what usually happens is people usually make fun of soccer. That's usually what we have to deal with.
Yeah, that's what everyone thought when we started too. They thought we were just going to make fun of the game, and we're like, no, we're going to poke fun at it because we love it. We're season ticket holders to MLS. Like we want to support American soccer and have it grow. And also, it's enough. Like we were tired of being the ones who like we're supposed to be embarrassed that we like American soccer. Nah, son, not anymore. Like we're gonna stand real hard for it. And you guys are doing the same thing with the brand. So people can check that out. You can go to states.soccer, which is kind of cool. .soccer. You really guys are representing when that's the end of your HTML.
I just want to hear Matt Besler. Can you say "Nah, son"?
Nah, son.
Yeah, it sounds so good with that slight Midwestern accent.
Repping American soccer all day. We have a couple questions.
Yeah, I got that Midwest draw.
Yeah, you do, but it works.
I've been told.
We have a couple questions from some of our listeners. Shout out to Dan Kuzer, a friend of the show. He's from Kansas City, from Topeka.
He's actually the one who he graffitied the 2017 when you won the Open Cup.
No, that was 2015.
Yeah,
2015.
I know him. I remember. He helped me out painting the wall.
Yeah, you're in the photo. You're standing next to him.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was 2015. That's
2015. My bad.
Yeah, so Dan Kuzer, he did have a question. I'm sorry. I know he's very happy that you remember him because he's a really good dude.
Yeah, let's just say right now he's freaking out having heard that.
But
what's up, Dan? No, man. No, son.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So he did ask about your book. You wrote a book recently, No Other Home, and in general, I do love that Kansas City sort of mentality. No other club. Dan Kuzer hosts the podcast No Other Pod. So what was the process in writing that book? I know there's not. I don't know how many American soccer players have written autobiographies and stuff like that. But what was that process for you?
It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot too. I just think that for me, my mentality is I want to try and experience as many things as I can in my life. And this, the starting a lifestyle clothing brand is one example. Like why, if you have the opportunity, like I want to go for it. And the book is another example of that. And when I first started out, I knew that I didn't want to write a typical sports biography where I started when I was born, and then I first started playing soccer, and then I scored 10 goals in a game when I was 5 years old.
I met Seth Sinovic.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I feel like that's played out a little bit, and if people really wanted to know my stats from when I was younger, they can probably just go online and Google it and read about it there. And so I knew I wanted to do something different. And the problem or the question that I had was, well, what am I going to do that's different? And so we started brainstorming, and we came to the conclusion, like, let's write a journal type book where I just tackle a bunch of questions that people ask me. And because, I go to a lot of appearances and after games, and people all ask the same question. They ask, like, hey, what was it like you guys? I mean, what was it like winning the Open Cup? Or how is that different from MLS Cup? Or, what can my 8-year-old son do? What piece of advice would you give him? So I started collecting all these different experiences and questions from over the years. And I just started diving into them and just journaling how I would answer those. And so we ended up putting them all together into a book. And yeah, that was pretty much it. It was a learning process for sure. It was, I don't know if you guys have ever thought about writing a book, but there's a lot that goes into it. I have much respect for authors for sure.
Initially, I thought you were going to say, I don't know if you guys have ever read a book.
Which also would have been difficult for us to answer.
It doesn't sound like it, guys.
Yeah. I got to be honest, that's the vibe we're trying to put out. So I'm glad you got that.
That's good.
I'm glad you got that from us.
Is Cooligan, is that even a word?
It is now, bro.
It is now, bro.
Okay.
I mean, if you would have asked us when we started, I would have said, nah, son.
That's right.
You did recently introduce a new family member. I know you just your wife had a baby recently, right?
That is correct. Yeah, we had our second daughter about 4 weeks ago.
Wow.
Her name is Marin J. So yeah, that was a big life change. We are officially a family of 4.
Awesome. Congratulations.
You guys got any advice for me?
Yeah, we don't have kids.
We don't have kids.
So our advice would be go back in time. Don't do it.
That's
I will not be taking that advice.
Yeah, of course not. You have a beautiful family.
You should. How are you holding up? How's that going? Are you sleeping? Are you are you on your way? Are we holding you up from taking care of your new child?
And is State Soccer going to create some onesies pretty soon?
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. I got to pitch that to the team. No, I'm doing great, guys. It's awesome. It definitely is time consuming. It's hard, but we're doing much better with the second one. I think you know what's in store. You know what to expect, and so our stress levels are much lower, which just makes everything easier. We can wind down better, and we can nap and rest better and sleep better. And so, yeah, the second one has been a lot of fun. I am getting sleep. We have a nice little schedule, me and my wife. We at the beginning of the week, I try and, help out as much as I can in the middle of the night. And then towards the end of the week, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like getting ready for the game, I'll kind of shut it down and get like a full night's sleep. And so she just like fully takes over. So I think it's working good.
All right.
As long as you have a system, that seems pretty cool. I'm going to do the same thing with my wife, even though we don't have any kids or anything. But it's just, all right, I'll watch a little bit of late night TV, but then as we get closer to the weekend, maybe I'll stay in bed a little longer.
Yeah. Exactly.
I handle, you handle the beginning of the week, and, you also handle the end of the week.
Yeah. And continue paying the rent while I be a comic who does a soccer podcast. Thanks, babe.
Yeah. How'd you swing that? That's nice.
Became a comic after I got married too, buddy. So
trapped her. That's all he did.
Yeah. Really convinced her I was a good guy.
Matt Besler, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It really means the world to us. Thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. Seriously, guys. Next time you come in and stop through Kansas City, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take you guys out.
Where could people find out more about State Soccer? Just by going to states.soccer?
Yeah, so that's our website, states.soccer. We also we're pretty heavily active on Instagram, so go give us a follow. And yeah, looking forward to the future and what's in store. We appreciate all the support we can get.
No doubt.
We're trying to grow this game in this country. So get on board.
And good luck for the rest of the season. The Sporting Kansas City just got a win a couple days ago, and it's looking like there's going to be a really good. The playoffs are going to be really interesting this season.
I hope so. Thanks, guys.
All right,
buddy. Thank you so much.
Take care, Matt.
What's up? It's the world champion Judah Friedlander, and you're watching the Cooligans. Why? Because you're cool. This is what winners look like right here, man.
I mean, you're looking at us.
Right now with my legs, I just juggled the ball 80,000 times.
You missed it.
Yeah.
He's been playing keepy uppy since I met him.
Yep, look faster, guys.
Go Team USA.